Hey everyone, Editing Ryan here. I hope you are all having a great weekend. Today, I'm coming in to give you the announcement that I alluded to last week. What I'm going to talk to you about today is something that we've been considering for a while now, so this is not a spur-of-the-moment kind of thing. By now, you are all well aware of our rate of production. We've said it so many times by now that you can probably recite it in your sleep. We aim to make 60-minute episodes weekly. This has always been the modus operandi for our show. It is a time limit that is healthy enough for some good discussion, while also being short enough to record, edit, reevaluate, proof, and publish content within a reasonable time frame on a consistent basis. There have been many exceptions to this rule, but as a whole, this has been the overall guiding directive. This is why the feedback was always in a separate episode back when the community episode started. It would take way too long to have the whole shebang in one episode if we were to have that episode ready to go by the end of the week. As with anything in life, this approach to podcasting offered its own benefits as well as its detriments. But many of those detriments weren't very prevalent or common in our daily lifestyle. So, as the pros outweighed the cons, we operated in this fashion, and we did so just fine. However, life has a knack of progressing and evolving into new and different things. Things began to change as time went on. John and I became more comfortable and proficient with talking on the air. We had to find ways to fill 60 minutes on the show, and now we find it difficult to stay under that time limit. We incorporated others into the show, namely you. As fortune would have it, more and more individuals began to take part in our community surveys. Topics got longer, more in-depth, more involved, more interesting. We began to realize that the framework that guided us in Season 1 was starting to limit us more than assist us, as we were now pushing against the walls of its boundaries to the point where the pros and cons were starting to swap places. We didn't really catch on to this until the very end of Season 1, and throughout Season 2 it has become more and more apparent to us. As the show itself was evolving into something a little different, we recognized that we needed to likewise adapt to new norms in order to accommodate some of those cons that I mentioned. So what are some of those cons? Well, we're becoming more interested in episodes longer than 60 minutes. We find those conversations more natural, more fulfilling, and many of our topics are ones that we feel could sometimes go for a bit longer. Speaking for myself, I've also been increasingly discontent with splitting up episodes into smaller parts. I'll grant that some topics can be divided much better than others, but take a look at the Misunderstanding series. I loved Part 1. Being able to go completely as in-depth as we wanted without any concern for the pressure of having it ready to go by the end of a single week, being able to fully express our opinions and thoughts on the subject even if it went way over 60 minutes. That was awesome. And frankly, as both a listener and a podcaster, I want more of that. But then take a look, conversely, at how we handled the Misunderstanding survey. We had so much feedback that we had to split up the survey coverage into 2 episodes in order to meet the weekly deadline. That didn't sit well with me. I didn't like that. After that series came the advent of battle reports, and as you can see, that also was way over 60 minutes. In fact, it was double. So where am I going with all this? Well, John and I have talked many times about this. We've brought this up to our patrons multiple times, and everyone has supported what I'm about to tell you. We here at the KSP are going to change that core guideline of 60-minute episodes weekly. Starting officially today, we are going to transition to a new model of production and publication. This new style will be a little looser, a little more free-form, and therefore more flexible. Instead of 60-minute episodes every week, we are now going to a whatever, whenever approach. To put that in different words, we are going to release episodes, no matter how long they are, when they are complete. The rate of production will ironically still be the same, i.e., I will be able to get about 60 minutes worth of content done within a week's time. But if we have an episode that's 2 hours, we don't want to split that up anymore. Especially if the only reason why we would is because we needed to make a simple end-of-the-week deadline. We want to make longer episodes. We want to take as long as it takes to fulfill a topic. If that comes out to 90 minutes, great. 120 minutes? Great. 62 minutes? Great. What this means is that if an episode is 60 minutes, you'll get it next week. If it's 120 minutes, you'll get it in 2 weeks. Not every episode we make will be a 2-hour episode. As different topics will take a variety of different times to produce, some topics just lend themselves to bigger conversations, while others can be handled in smaller conversations. We don't want to be limited to smaller conversations, or split up a line of thought all because we have a quota to meet. What will change is the length of episodes, as well as when you get them. As an example, we have recorded lightning analysis, as well as the lightning survey. Combined, those two topics are 6 hours long. Analysis was 2.5 hours, and the survey was 3.5. When considering how the old method would have required us to split those up into a total of 5 or 6 episodes, we thought, yeah, we're not doing that. We want them to be by themselves, not divided into a miniature library. We think that that's harder to follow, and less enjoyable to get them in bite-sized pieces spread over a month. We do, however, still like the idea of having our thoughts and your thoughts separated, as the conversation in each of those is different enough to have its own character, its own tempo. So we'll still have our thoughts and your thoughts in 2 different episodes, but we don't ever want to split up a community episode again. And if we do a top 10, we'd prefer to just do it all in one go. What will not change is my rate of production. I am still limited to what I can do comfortably with producing this podcast. It's just, this new approach will allow us to do more of what we want, while accommodating larger amounts of feedback, while also not pressuring us to have no lives, while we attempt to cram these things in to a weekly deadline. The first formula worked just fine for the environment that we were living in, but we are no longer living in that same environment, and so we need to adapt to fit the norms of this new setting we find ourselves in. So how will you know what the next episode will be? Or how long will you have to wait until another episode comes out? Simple. We'll tell you. At the end of each episode, probably while John and I are saying our goodbyes, we'll say something like, hey, next episode lasted 64 minutes. You'll get it next week. Or, hey, next one is a doozy. Came out to 2.5 hours. You'll get it in 2 weeks. It'll be as simple as that. To get accustomed to this, we'll do a little practice run even today. When you hear this public service announcement end, I'll perform an outro very similar to how a real episode might end, and you'll see how this will work. We're not abandoning 60-minute episodes. If an episode comes out to that, awesome, but we don't want to subject ourselves to an uncomfortable limitation if we think that a topic can go longer. We hope that you understand this change and the emotions that are at play here. We're excited to normalize longer episodes if we think the topic at hand warrants such a thing. Well, that's all the time we got for today. Next episode was incredibly different and fun.
Oh, yeah.
It's something we've never done before. It came out to about 90 minutes, so you'll have it next week. Until then, I've been Ryan.
And I've been John.
And we'll catch you all on the flippity flip.
Peace out.
So it'll sound something like that. And by the way, those weren't arbitrary details. The next episode actually was incredibly different and fun. It actually is something that we've never done before. And it actually came out to 90 minutes, so you will have it next week. Okay, thank you for taking the time to listen once again. As always, legitimately, please stay safe, stay healthy, and stay awesome. I'm Editing Ryan, and I'll catch you all next time.